I packed 5 sewing projects for the Sari Sews retreat, and I finished none of them. All I came home with is this ill-fitting bralette. But I feel like I've learned more than I have in months of sewing by myself. Hi guys, I'm Kat, and I'm learning how to sew clothes that actually fit one project at a time. So this weekend, I've been to Sari Sews retreat, and it was absolutely amazing. The retreat was very well organized. Everything went really smoothly. We all had our single rooms with ensuite bathrooms, which at my age is quite an important factor. The food was delicious, the venue was great. The town itself was actually really, really lovely. It was nice to go for a walk after the day of sewing and stretch our legs a little bit. It's a beautiful part of England. It is true the day before I spent hours cutting out projects. I prepared 5 of them and I've not finished any. But that's not the point of the retreat. I love the sewing socials and I go to them every month. But the problem with the socials is that you sit next to someone, you chat a little bit, and then you don't see them for a month. So it's really difficult to build meaningful connections. You do get to meet nice people, and I'm hoping with time, those connections will build, but it's just really slow. Like after a month, you kind of forget who you spoke to about what, and it's just not as easy to make friends. Whereas at the retreat, we had 2 full days together, sewing, doing workshops, having meals, going for walks, and that was pretty awesome. The conversations went deeper, the exchanges were more meaningful. It was absolutely fantastic. I loved it. I say it with caution because it's not easy making friends in your late 40s, but I feel like I've started making some friends. At one point, my mind was completely blown. One of the girls, Alicia, that I've known for a few months already, it turns out that we studied at the same university, the same course, the same time, like literally the same year. We did not meet back then. There was quite a few students on the course, but still, what are the chances? We had 2 workshops on the retreat. One of them was the bralette workshop. So this is where I've made this one. It's very difficult to measure your size while you are in a room full of other people. But that was not quite the point. The main thing for me was learning that actually making a bra is not difficult. What shocked me was how easy it was to put it all together, to make all those tiny stitches and seams. And, I didn't think that was possible just to do on a regular sewing machine, yet it was. I've learned how to sew the elastics in, how to find the right parts. I've learned how to put them all together. And I was able to make this happen in just a few hours. So that was a real shocker. Other than not fitting me correctly, it actually works perfectly as a bra. So if it did fit me, I could wear it. And I know that I can just remake it in a few hours by myself. I've got the pattern, I know what to use. That actually gave me a really good idea to put inbuilt bra in any sort of strapless dresses. That's gonna be another skill to learn, and I'm gonna have to work on it quite a bit. But it just empowered me to feel like it's not impossible, that I can actually make it happen. So watch the space, there is more of that coming along in the future videos. Lawratu, who ran the workshop, was absolutely amazing. She explained everything really well. She had all the bits that we needed, and she was a really lovely person. I've managed to grab her aside and have a quick chat about the mistakes so that I can share it with you, as well as the sewing bee, which, is always a really good topic, and I absolutely adore that program. Lawratu, you are an amazing sewist. I've just done your workshop and it was fantastic, but my channel is all about mistakes. So what's the biggest mistake you've ever done?
It's hard to talk about mistakes because I do try and turn them into, I guess, better items, or see how I can change them. I think some of my biggest mistakes have been, there was a t-shirt that went really wrong, so I changed it into a pair of absorbent pants.
Wow. Nice.
Because it was just the way the fabric's quite soft, and it just felt like all the stitches were being chewed up. And when I put it on, I just didn't like how it looked, so I reused the fabric into some pants. And then just as I was talking through like the swimwear clinic, I made a one piece and I didn't really take into consideration my body length. So when I got on it, I felt very compressed. So actually all I did was just cut cut in the middle, add some bands, and I turned it into a two-piece. So I think sometimes it's not focusing on what the mistake, but seeing what we can do from it and change it.
I think I'm learning that approach now as well. Like you can usually turn it into something else.
Yeah, you can turn it to something else and just think about the elements of the garment that you do like, and sometimes changing a sleeve or taking them off or turning a dress into a top, and then we can kind of turn our mistakes into good things. Absolutely. And then also we don't feel like that time and fabric has been wasted.
Absolutely. All right. And on the sewing bit, if we can see how, I don't know if Esma was on your...
Yes.
Yeah. So we can see how she pokes holes in everything and finds every single mistake. Have you been able to hide any mistakes on the sewing bit?
No. Esme is too she's too on the ball for that. The great thing about Esme especially is that I find the feedback is constructive and it's ways for you to kind of improve and do better. So, at the times you're sitting there, you're having your whole garment critiqued and you're a bit like, but actually when you think about it, you challenge us into better garments going forward, and you learn from it.
No, I absolutely love Esma. I love her sense of humor. But I'll tell you a secret, in season 11, they actually managed to find ways to get away with some stuff. I
said well done to them, because it's just like, it's like, because there's not a lot that gets past Esme. That's all I can tell you.
I know. We also touched on swimwear in another workshop. I didn't actually create a swimsuit after that because I didn't have the pattern cut out and I didn't have the right fabrics. But I've learned that this is actually quite feasible as well. It's not too difficult a project for a home sewer or even for a beginner. So I might try one at one point, but there are so many projects that I want to work on, so I don't know when I'm gonna get to it, probably next summer. But it's really great to know that I know which fabrics to use. Lawratu showed us how to put the elastic through the overlocker, which I didn't know was possible, and that's something that I will be using in other projects as well. Outside of the workshops, we had quite a few hours of sewing during the day. The sewing room was literally open from dusk to dawn. There were people there at all times, so at one point after dinner and after some drinks, I went in and did some more sewing. It was just really nice and relaxing, and there were still a few people there chatting, and I was quite tired as well because we are in the middle of the heat wave, so I have not slept well for days. So I was really, really tired, and I was getting silly and giggling and joking with people, which was really, really nice as well. There were no official tutors in the room, but there were so many experienced people in the room, as well as a couple of actual sewing teachers who are not officially on duty, but who are really, really helpful and really generous with their advice. Karina has helped me this time a lot. She showed me how to do French seams. So that was my first time that I tried doing them, and they worked out really well. When I started working on the first one, Alicia specifically told me to be careful with the whiskers. And I was like, I can just cut them out. But when I've made that mistake, I've learned the hard way that it's not that easy to just cut them after you've done the seam. So that was a really good learning experience. I had a good laugh, and I've managed to sort it out, and it all works perfectly. But I've learned my lesson for the next time for sure. Another thing I've learned are the narrow hems. I had no idea how to do one, and now I feel quite proficient. I mean, obviously my seams are not as straight as Karina's, but they're still pretty good. I mean, for a beginner, I'm proud of myself. I really love them. So those two are really high-end finishes that I'm using while working on my wedding guest dress, and I really, really love them. Apparently, the trick to them is to iron everything enough, and Karina really put me through the paces with that. I think I've got a little Karina living in my head now and screaming at me anytime I'm sewing something to actually iron it first. And it's working. I'm much better off for it. And I think she's an amazing teacher. I'm definitely going to book some private classes with her. I could not recommend her highly enough. She's also demystified the bias binding for me. I kept stretching the neckline. The first time I stretched it, I thought, okay, I'd not had enough experience, fair enough. But when I've stretched it recently on a dress, I was a little bit disappointed with myself. I could not understand how that actually happened. But there is a specific thing that you should use when you are doing the bias binding. I just got this tape as well. It's something that Karina showed me. The funny thing about this one is that it's actually, I think, cut on the bias. So it works on all those necklines and stuff. And it's much more flexible than a regular stay tape. I don't know if you can see it well, but it's sort of nice and flexible and maybe not stretchy per se. The thread in the middle keeps it in place, but the sides of it allow you to sort of form it and move it around so that it curves with your neckline or armhole. I've had that issue on this dress where the neckline got stretched. It's only a little bit, but it was enough to upset me. So I thought I could do better. So now I know, now I can do better, and I know what the trick to is, and that little stay tape, I didn't know it existed, but it's absolutely amazing. We also managed to work on some charity projects during our retreat. I absolutely love that Mel brought this project to us. She explained how to do it, and it's really, really simple, but it's such a great scrap buster, and I absolutely love having something I can do with the scrap fabric that's actually really useful for people, because it's such a simple thing, but it makes a massive difference to people with cancer. But I will let you listen to Mel talk about it, because she explains it much better, and I hope you can join in that initiative. Mel, you just told us about your new charity project. Are you happy to share it with everyone?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Some of you know that I've got esophageal cancer, so I've been having radiotherapy and chemotherapy. And for chemotherapy, you have something called a PICC line, which is a tube which goes directly into your heart, and then you can take the blood out or put the chemotherapy infusion directly into the vein, not actually into the heart, but into the vein. And at the hospital, they give you like a bandage to put over it, but I like to have something a bit more colourful, yeah. So I made some of these, which are basically a tube, and it just brightens up your outfit rather than having like a bandage, and it just keeps everything safe and secure, because if you have to have a new one put in, it's quite a long procedure. So you have a rectangle of fabric, and it can be either jersey fabric or swimwear.
Yeah.
Very easy to make.
What are the dimensions? Do you remember?
Yeah, I've got the dimensions. So they need to be about 21 centimetres long, finished. And then they can be any width. Mine's quite narrow, but then they're for children or for adults or men. I measured my husband yesterday, and his was 34 centimetres.
Big difference,
So I'll show you on here how you make them.
Yeah.
So you've got your fabric like that, and then you can do them on an overlocker or a machine. So for this long edge, I usually overlock it.
Yeah.
Or you can use a zigzag stitch. And then each end is finished either with a straight stitch or a zigzag stitch, just around the top and around the bottom. So you end up with a tube, and that's it really.
Fantastic. Brilliant.
Very simple. And they mean such a lot to people as well, because it's just a little bit more colourful, it's less hospital-like.
Yeah.
And you can put your own personality into it.
It was a really meaningful part of the retreat, and I really enjoyed being part of it. We managed to make some while we were there, and just to put things in perspective, I've made one while Karina made 12, so that really shows that I am still massively a beginner. But it was a lot of fun to do them, and it's great to be able to contribute to such a great cause. No retreat would ever be complete without Mel's lovely cakes, which I really, really enjoyed, as usual. She always generously feeds us with beautiful sweets that she makes herself. We had a fabric swap, which always is my favorite part. It's great to see that the fabric I brought was needed by other people, and also I got some beautiful fabric from it that I will use in other projects. There was a real surprise at the end as well. We all got goodie bags, goodie boxes, that had quite a few nice sewing supplies. I think my favorite are those handmade pattern weights. can actually ask who's made them, but I need to find out because they are really, really cute. I'm still buzzing from the weekend. It was such an amazing experience. I absolutely adored it. I feel so much more confident. All the techniques that I've learned, all the experience I've gained, that is more than I could have ever learned alone in months. I mean, I know I'm looking up videos and learning techniques and trying new things, but just having somebody there tell me where I'm going wrong with it, like the bias binding, that's invaluable. That's a really amazing way to learn. And meeting another sewing bee contestant, that was a really good experience as well. As you know, I love that show, so it's always good to learn a little bit more about what happens there and to chat about it. I think it's a really good opportunity to have this time with people and to be able to get out there a bit more and connect a bit more and chat a bit more. I would love to hear in the comments about your experience with the sewing socials. Please share links and ideas because it's always good to discover new ones. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one.